They're basically pre-made kits that you buy from a whole handful of different manufacturers. And you would call me and we'd come out there, I'd see, you'd give me the documents that came with that, and I'd make sure it was standing there, and then the payment could be certified at that point. The payments on these are based on square footage. NRCS has a maximum allowed 2,178 feet, 5% of an acre. You can put in you can put in a half-acre high tunnel if you want, but our payment ends at 2,178 square feet. And then, so we pay it on a square footage basis. $375 for conventional and $449 a square foot. So it breaks down to just under $10,000 for high tunnels for the underserved, and then $8,967 for conventional. Which those numbers have gone up a lot. What's that? Yeah, well, I imagine that they got enough feedback saying that the cost of putting these in was a lot higher than what we were providing, so they adjust numbers accordingly.
So I would suggest if you're going organic or going a lot of vegetables or something, this is probably something that you want to check into, because it's going to help extend your growing season during the fall and winter months.
Well, I imagine you guys probably have tons of these, right? I mean, if you're growing on a big basis like you guys.
I have used lots of high tunnels. High tunnel growing and season extension are not in the crop plans that are provided to you, because it was anticipated that you're not going to be having those yet. But in your second year, maybe your third year, you should be thinking about this. They're not just great for season extension, they're really great for pest control as well.
So this is an example of what one would look like. They're growing the crops in the ground, not up in pots or on tables or benches or anything.
If you also look at the picture there, you see those little lines or hoses. It's basically a micro irrigation system.
Drip irrigation.
Yeah, drip irrigation, excuse me. It also saves you time and having to go by and water each plant every day. So basically, the only thing you got to do is just turn your water on. It's going to water your plants automatically. It also comes in the cost of, you get additional costs for installing that micro irrigation system inside of that seasonal high tunnel.
Sometimes. It's got to be the right scenario on the farm, but that is an option. Yes.
So what if you have like proposed vendors to create those? Will that be a problem?
We may not pay for that. I don't know for sure. I haven't had that issue come up, so I haven't asked the right people, but maybe I can look into it for sure.
I say for seasonal high tunnels, cheapest I see them maybe about $5 or $6 grand.
Yeah. It all depends on size.
Yeah.
But they have a pole vendor that you can buy that will cut that in half.
Put that seasonal high tunnel in there?
Yeah, as far as
Well, yeah, I say you're not paying somebody else to do it. Yeah, you're
building your own poles instead of buying the package.
Well, I'd have to go check our standards, and I can ask the important people in the state office what they think.
Is that what it is, just because of the standards for the...
I think it's because there was a lot, when this first came out, people were building them out of PVC. They were just using old greenhouse material that they found, and we don't want to pay for something that potentially is going to fail. Because the life expectancy of this is 10 years that we're expecting that to be there and viable. So the government doesn't like to pay for things that fail.
Really?
We don't need
Our
it.
agency, our agency does not.
Freddie Jones, didn't he go through to get?
He got one, I think, prior to me being involved. So
Oh, it was prior to you, yeah.
Yeah.
Freddie Jones, who did who was your guest speaker the first day, yeah. His is 90-foot high tunnel.
Yeah.
Long.
Can I just interject that
Yes.
they look like simple structures, and in many ways they are simple structures, but they fail all the time if they're not the right kind of structure in the right environment and installed correctly. So really smart people put together really smart structures, and they've blown away the next day because they weren't anchored right, or they didn't actually bury their ends, so the big wind came up and they just
Makes it
scooped
safe.
up underneath that thing and got higher. So
Yeah, I've built lots of these structures for other farmers in addition building them, and you better be good at construction. I work with some people, we actually have engineers who design different types of structures of these, but you better really know what you're doing, because I know a lot of people who decided they weren't going to work with me, and their hoop houses are not standing anymore.
And we also have a list of contractors that we can give you that actually install these, so they can be professional. You don't have to worry about following over the next day. So we do have a list of people that you can choose from to come out and install these structures on your property.
There's another picture. Alright, so I'm going to go over some of these other practices. They may not particularly be something that would work on your farm, but they're things that are in our area and that we do cover. Grass waterways, they're used to convey water out of crop fields without causing erosion or flooding. Usually we put these in places where there's a gully that's forming from concentrated flow of water that's eating away the soil. Payment can be anywhere from $2,500 to $4,800 an acre, depending on the size and the complexity of that project. Grade stabilization structures, they basically go at the end of grass waterways to keep it from eroding back up into the field. Some examples of these are concrete block chutes, so the flow of water can't eat back up into the field and cause another problem later in the future. Here's another example of something like that. Another total wall. Stream bank stabilization prevents loss and damage to property adjacent to stream flakes, rivers, things like that. Reduces downstream effects of sediment and improves habitat and stay value. Here's a couple examples. Drainage water management is a practice that's something that you would look into if your farm has drainage on it, if you've got drain tiles, things like that. It gives you the ability to manage your water table by blocking those tiles off and letting the water build up in the ground, making it more available for your plants and crops. That'd be an example of what it is. The actual structure, you can drop basically barriers down in that, and it'll hold the water back up upstream from where it was flowing.
That's my nose.
It's a subsurface. It goes under the ground.
But it's like a creek or something. A ditch or something. I don't understand.
Well, maybe not so much on your guys' smaller organic farms, things like that. They don't have as much, but a lot of the conventional farms around here, they've got drain tile that runs through it, that drains moisture subsurfacely out of the field. And this can help slow that flow down, back it up into the field underground so that it's available for plants when you need it.
No, we have a situation here with the big farmers. Block the ditch right out.
The ones that are irrigating, they block it up and then suck it
I
up.
don't know if they even irrigate, but anyway, it causes problems for the community because they put something in the field to block the water.
Yeah.
And it's, the stench and everything comes out in the field.
Yeah. Well, this is a little bit different than that.
Is that the same way?
No. This is basically on a field by field basis. It's just if you put this in, it's only going to block water up one tile line. It's not blocking a whole ditch.
I have a question.
Yes.
What about the wind and the snow, like snow fencing and wind control? Does wind...
We have some practices for wind erosion, wind breaks, and things like that. Putting in temporary snow fences.
So basically, we just plant like a tree row.
Pardon?
Basically, we plant a row of trees,
Yeah.
and then right there, it blocks the wind. So we do that.
Do you also plant, I'm sorry, do you also plant the trees to prevent, separate conventional and organic farms?
That would be considered wind break.
Yeah, that's a windbreak. So
Yeah, there's a lot of different.
that will qualify under your program as well.
criteria.
So if you're near a conventional farm and you want to protect your fields.
There's just got to be a reason. You can't put it up because you wanted pretty trees alongside.
Right.
But I know somebody that put one up because he farms he farms conventionally, but right next to town, and he was worried about his pesticides drifting onto a lawn or something like that, so he put up a windbreak along the side of his field to block that. So there's always reasons.
I'd just like to interject this. It's also good to have windbreak if we have a harsh winter. And it's more than one row. I think we require at least two, and sometimes successful.
Yes.
My question is in relation to the water level control devices.
Yes.
Is this on your perimeters so that you can capture water and then release it? Is it similar to an underground storage?
I mean, I guess you would
It's
kind of
stored
think
in
of
the
it.
land, in soil.
No, you can't. It's only in the towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here. Where's one of that? Well, this is basically the hydrologic style. Besides how water moves through the environment. So you'll see it comes out precipitation, it moves up through evapotranspiration, things like that. But this is a tile line. So when it flows down into a field and it catches that tile line, it flows that way to wherever that tile outlets. Well, with those structures, you put that in the line, and then you block it, so that's going to hold water in the ground that high before it releases through the tile. So that becomes available for anything growing that has a root system that will reach that water.
So you all find where the tile line is on our properties?
I mean, if there's one there, I mean, we don't normally go out there and search for it. Usually it's something that the farmer knows and they come in.
Oh.
They say, okay, yeah, here, this is where my tile is, and then we work from there.
Okay.
Right. I mean, like I said, most of these are
Want me
big,
to
the big
first hear
farmers,
y'all?
where they know their tile lines where they're at and things like that, because they probably put them in.
Okay. So, you said you put them in? So we put in the tile line?
If you want.
If you go back to this picture, I think that's not an underground river. That's not an underground aquifer of water. That is actual man-made structure
Oh.
that's capturing the water and pulling it into that ravine, that creek. So it's a man-made structure.
Is it like a ditch?
No,
You have to put
underground.
the
It's like a
towel
big pipe.
in. Somebody
pipe.
can put it
Like-
back,
It's a
put
pipe.
the towel in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's a pipe.
Anymore now, like, you'll see them, people that are doing a lot of tiling these days, you'll see them parked on the sides of fields with these big, huge rolls of black perforated corrugated tile.
Oh, like
And those are going, they're digging down underground, laying them down, and they're outletting into ditches and things like that.
And those collect the water and channel the water
Oh,
into creeks.
okay.
So you have a flooded field.
Which I
All right.
Which they're putting.
Gerard, did you want to take a break?
Yes, actually, I think everybody needs to get a good stretch. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break, just a 10-minute break, and then we're going to